talk about this Mariners team losing to the Nationals 10-1 in that series finale. Mariners go 4-6 on this road trip. Some opening thoughts about this team.
Well, I think it's disappointing where they are after 73 games, right? You got the, number 5 ERA in baseball, and you're sitting here a game over 500. I mean, that to me is pretty cut and dry, pretty black and white. I mean, yeah, they've had injuries. Cal Raleigh's been out for a month or so. Donovan hasn't played much, and their bullpen's been dinged up seemingly the entire year, but I still feel like they're a better baseball team than what we've seen record-wise in the last maybe couple of weeks. I mean, guys, let's be honest. You have a road trip like this, and you don't win a series. That's disappointing, and now that guy right there, obviously got roughed up a little bit yesterday, and Emerson Hancock, that was not good, or at least over the weekend. The days are all running together now. Andres Munoz, who knows about his future? Matt Brash is hurt again. So this baseball team's got some issues, Paul and Ariel. They got to figure out, starting with that bullpen role, and who's going to be that closer. Because even if Andres Munoz is healthy after getting yanked the other day, there's something wrong with this guy. There's something not wrong with him. Not right with him. He's putting way too many runners on base. And like we said last week, right, Paul, on the show, they've got options, right? They've got Jose Ferrer. They've got a potential option there with Luis Castillo. They had Matt Brash, and now he's banged up. They've got guys that can close if that guy right there, Andres Munoz, can't figure it out. So if he is healthy and they keep rolling to him, my question is, how long do they go to him, guys, before they pull the plug entirely and go with somebody else? Because these games are going to be crucial in September.
You know, guys, I think this actually is one of those same conversations we had about Cal Raleigh struggling in the beginning of this year, then getting hurt, going on the IL. I mean, Andres Munoz has been struggling this entire season. He hasn't looked like himself from the beginning. So if he's maybe been hurt, they said that he's had these back spasms for a while, so maybe he's been hampered this entire time. I think he needs to probably take some time on the IL, get himself right, get his body right, get his mind right, and then they'll have a better chance with that bullpen.
Yeah, you know, guys, look, I mean, this is another dude, sorry, Paul, that pitched in the WBC for Mexico, right? I mean, it's unbelievable how many of these guys that played in the WBC are just having all these problems. And, you know, we've talked about the ERA before. You know, again, if you toss out the game in San Diego, his ERA is going to drop about a run and a half. So I'm not as concerned about the ERA as I am the whip. I mean, 1.5 for a closer is just skyrocketing numbers, guys. That is way too high for Andres Munoz to be putting that many people on base. So if he is hurt, then let's get him on the IL now and get this figured out, right? Let's not make the same mistake we made with Cal Raleigh and wait a couple weeks. Let's see if he can fight through it. Maybe he'll be okay. Maybe rub some magic dust on it. No, get him on the IL now, and let's get this guy right, because they cannot do what they need to do this year without that dude in the bullpen.
All right, as we sit here right now, the Mariners have 9 injured players. As we talked about, J.P. Crawford, Cal Raleigh expected to be back tomorrow when they open the homestand. But here's Dan Wilson on the challenge of juggling those lineups throughout this trip.
It was a long one in terms of, just personnel, in terms of injuries, guys getting dinged up a little bit, and that always makes it, a little tricky. You lose your consistency a little bit in the lineup, and those things are going to happen. Those stretches are going to happen from time to time, and it just seemed to hit us here on the road trip, and that's why it'll be good to get home, get an off day tomorrow to rest some of the injuries, and then come back and be ready to go on Tuesday.
Tuesday, the Mariners open a 6-game homestand. They get the Orioles for 3, and then they get the Red Sox for 3. We talk about Cal Raleigh coming back tomorrow to open this homestand. He tore it up last week in Tacoma. 4 games, he had 6 hits, 5 homers, including a grand slam, and 12 RBI down there at Softy. He was just, it seems like Cal took all the right steps rehabbing back from this oblique injury, because we've talked about this before, and I thought he was hurt before and hiding the injury, so to speak, as best as a pro athlete can do, and I think he finally had to push himself away from the table because it was obvious his numbers were going down. He was struggling at the plate. There were some problems there, and they finally said, look, let's get you off the field. Let's get you in a rehab assignment, get that oblique rested and injured, and get it rehabbed the right way. And I think he's finally going to be back to 100% when he finally goes on the field again.
Yeah, Rehab Raleigh, baby, coming back on Tuesday. Can't wait to see this guy back, and obviously we're all fired up for him to be back at the plate. But I think we should be talking more about what he does as a catcher for this pitching staff. I mean, look, you think George Kirby needs him back? I do. You think Brian Wu needs Cal Raleigh back? I do. These guys have a relationship with Cal Raleigh behind the dish that, no disrespect to Johnny Pareda or Mitch Garver, but they just don't have that with those guys the way they have with Cal Raleigh. So, I mean, we're seeing this little bit of a slump here, guys, kind of parallel the starting pitching taking a little bit of a step back as well. You know, Brian Wu had, I think, the quote of the year the other day when he just said, he's like me, man, every day I feel like this. He says, I'm tired of sucking, says Brian Wu, and I agree. You know, I'm tired of sucking too, by the way. The difference is there's something he can do about it, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Brian Wu's numbers look like, what George Kirby's numbers look like, Ariel and Paul, when Cal Raleigh is back behind the plate. I think they're really missing this guy behind the dish.
You know, that's a great point, especially because yesterday, I mean, we've seen Emerson Hancock. He's been pitching lights out this whole season. Yesterday, he goes to use the pitch comm for the first time, calls his own pitches, calls his own plays for the first time all season because he's got Johnny Pareda back there. That's no knock on Pareda, but he doesn't have somebody he can really trust to call the game, so he tries that himself with the pitch comm and gets absolutely lit up.
Oh, is this my turn?
It's the familiarity.
Quick enough, and in that inning, it just kind of kept snowballing in a way. You know, you're getting ahead, but they're just kind of jumping on heaters, and it's kind of how that offense is built to do is just kind of continue the momentum. They're going to get on, they're going to create havoc, and I just didn't do a good job of slowing that down and giving us a chance. For me, you know, you want to lean probably a little bit more on the aggressive side and know that you're trying to pound the zone, trying to get ahead. And they did a good job. And, you know, a lot of fastballs in the zone. They made some good swings on them, but again, just wasn't able to give our team a chance to win today, and that's what sucks.
All right, Hancock is a guy who he gave up 5 runs in the fourth yesterday, and that's when it all blew up for him against the Nationals. You know, you brought up Pareda, Ariel, and we know in his last start, he and Pareda got into a kind of a one-way discussion at some point during that game, and it's just kind of like Cal Raleigh knows his pitching staff and knows these pitchers. So in defense of Pareda, he's a younger guy, 30 years old, but doesn't have the experience that Cal has with these arms and with this rotation. And so there's a comfort level there for sure, and you could see it from Hancock. He's much more comfortable maybe with that pitch comm and calling his own pitches. But that's a big thing, as you talked about a few minutes ago, Softy. The fact that how important is Cal at the plate? Yeah, he's huge, but he may be even bigger when it comes to behind the plate.
Well, 32 runs allowed in the last 4 losses says they need him back, right? I mean, again, we're just being reminded yet again, guys, of how important this pitching staff is to this baseball team, right? Like there's teams out there, and Paul, we've been around long enough to see Mariner baseball teams that can outlast a guy having a bad day on the mound. You know, those 96, 97 Mariners from like 30 years ago that would score 50 runs a game. It didn't matter what the starting pitching did because Griffey, Buhner, A-Rod, Edgar, guys like that would score 9, 10 runs every single night. That's not this baseball team, and that's never going to be this baseball team. Look, you know, no disrespect to Randy Arozarena or even Julio Rodriguez right now, but they don't have that aircraft carrier on this baseball team. They don't have that guy that everybody stops what they're doing when that guy's on TV at the plate from a nationwide perspective. They don't have that one guy that puts the fear of God into opposing pitching coaches around Major League Baseball. They need that guy to be Cal Raleigh. When they get him back, the rising tide should lift every single boat on this offense, and the pitching staff should be performing better. So I think we've learned one thing in the last month, guys, and that's how important Cal Raleigh is to this entire baseball team.
All right, let's talk about 2 of the Mariners' top prospects. They're the top young guys right now on this team in Colt Emerson and Cole Young. We saw Young at second base and Emerson at shortstop yesterday, and I watched them play together this weekend, and I got to admit, you know, as a Tigers fan growing up in Detroit, watching Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker for years, that no double play combination has been together longer than those guys. It was 19 years, over 1,900 games, and I watched these guys yesterday, and I'm like, man, you know, this Emerson Young thing could be put together for a long time, Softy.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a rock band, right? Just need a third member. Emerson, Young, and who? Emerson, Young, and Naylor. Emerson, Young, and Donovan. But first of all, you're showing your age by dropping that Trammell-Lou Whitaker combination there, by the way. Paul, did you watch Harmon Killebrew play in Detroit? Are you that old, by the way? Do you go back that far, or is that
I watched
before
Al
your time?
Kateline.
Okay,
Hey,
gotcha.
man,
Yeah, so
I am old. I own
You
it,
are.
okay? I
You
own
are.
it. But
I
Al
thought you were
Kateline,
old, but yeah. Now we're finding out that you're really old, by the way. So, Ariel, just know that you're sitting next to an ancient individual over there, by the way. You blow on the guy, he might fall over, for God's sakes.
I love prehistoric things. I've always loved
That's
dinosaurs.
right.
I've always loved
I love it.
stuff like so.
I'm a dinosaur now. I love it.
I like fossils. So no, I'm here, but I'm here just to lower. I'm here just to lower the average. That's really all I'm here for.
I love it.
Give
I
some
love it.
youth to
Thank
this.
you for helping us out.
Well, look, but Paul, to your point about the infield, yeah, I mean, that's like one part of the baseball team that you don't worry about, right, is that middle infield with Cole Young and Cole Emerson. And you guys know my take on this because we've talked about this now for weeks and months. I think Cole Emerson should stay at shortstop. I don't know what the heck they were doing in the first place, putting him at third base. That's not his natural position. That's not where he's going to play the next decade in Seattle. The only reason why Cole Emerson was over at third is because the M's, for some weird reason, just don't want to get J.P. Crawford out of shortstop, where, by the way, he's one of the worst fielding shortstops in Major League Baseball. So this unbelievable loyalty defensively to J.P. Crawford at shortstop, it just blows my mind. I just don't get it whatsoever. So I'd leave him there at shortstop. He's obviously shining at short defensively and offensively. You got a great thing going, as you said, Paul, up the middle with him and Cole Young for a long, long time. Let's not overthink this, guys. Let's not be silly about this. If something's working and it ain't broke, then let's not try and fix it. Let's leave Cole Emerson there. J.P. Crawford's already offered to play somewhere else, by the way, including a try at third base. So I would not tinker with this at all when J.P. Crawford comes back. I'm actually very curious, guys, to see what the lineup looks like tomorrow when J.P. comes back.
Yeah, it will be interesting for sure. The Mariners set to open a 6-game homestand as they return from that long 10-game road trip. Some home cooking will do this team some good.